I'm Dmaw. I'm the creator of Sushi Ben. Um, no one else to say outside of that. I'm
That's
just a dude. Make
totally fine. No,
Yeah,
I like to talk about the devs that are just dudes or just people.
yeah,
To
yeah,
me, they seem they're interesting. I'd like to one day talk to like Hideo Kojima or someone like that,
yeah.
but
That would be cool. That would be cool.
it would be.
I'm not him.
No, I'm happy to I'm very content. I've been really content speaking to like devs who are, more boots in the ground, smaller scale guys. They've had the most interesting stories to me. So, you
Yeah,
know,
definitely lots of interesting things.
definitely. Game dev is a fun time, I
Yeah,
imagine. So, Sushi Ben, let's just get into it. So,
yeah,
I know what Sushi Ben is, and you know what Sushi Ben is clearly.
yeah.
So, why not tell the great
Sometimes.
people of Los Angeles what Sushi Ben is?
So Sushi Ben is a game about saving a sushi bar from these land sharks who want to buy up all the land and turn the town into like a resort. It's like a small fishing village, and you do that by you save the sushi bar by taking people out to eat. So your whole goal is to like go around the town and find people and ask them to go out to eat. But if when you do, they don't, um, they can't go out to eat with you right away, or they have some problem that you have to solve, and so you have to go through this little story. So there's like eight or so different customers that you interact with and go through their own little narrative arc with them before they go out to eat. And then every time you finish their quest, you'll go out to eat with them, and you have to catch like fish that they'll want because like they'll be like, oh, I want this type of sushi, but the sushi bar is well, it's being kind of attacked by these land sharks that they're like stealing like all the supplies and like making like anytime a delivery comes, they come and take all the they rob the truck and cause it to wreck or sabotage the restaurant in some way, so they don't ever have like supplies for stuff. So you have to go out and do that and get the stuff for the sushi. So
Nice. Well,
yeah,
that really fun, really entertaining sounding game. Honestly, I've seen a lot of it. I've looked at like I think the trailer a couple times,
yeah.
and I also saw the announcement of that dub trailer with the I think the opening theme, part of the opening theme there.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
working on that. That's gonna take forever.
And it's just such this I love games with energy. So like my favorite game of all one of my favorite games of all time is Doom, the original Doom.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Nice.
like classic Doom is one of my favorite games of all time. But like as I've gotten older, I've developed like this sincere appreciation for games that are just about vibes. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the
That's true.
vibes games are the best. And to me, like Sushi Ben seems like such a vibe, such a massive vibe game. So
Yeah. I don't know. Like I didn't intend on it to be kind of like be that, and it just I don't know. We just did such a good job, and it turned out to be that way.
you guys, I think you guys did a great job because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really such an this like really quirky, fun little game that
Yeah.
has such a great energy about it. So I gotta ask, like, where did Sushi Ben come from? What
So
made you make this
yeah.
game?
So I was in college. I was waiting tables at like I had to get a job. Um, well, so like this, I was dating this girl, and we wanted to move out of the dorms and get our own apartment. And so I was like, okay, it was like I was like I think 15, no, not 15, jeez, I was like 19 at the time, looking, running around the city that I was doing college at, which was SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design. Um, and so I was down there, and I needed a job, and so I went and got a job at the sushi bar. That was like, hi. I literally just walked in. It was the first place I walked into to look for a job, and we had just eaten there like the night before or something. And I've only had sushi once in my entire life. And then I walk, and then my girlfriend was like, "You have to go to that restaurant and ask for a job." And I'm like, "Great." and so and so I walk in, and they just hand me a job on the spot. because they're always desperate for waiters or whatever. And so it was just this small. It's the only Japanese restaurant, like Japanese owned restaurant in the entire city. And so it was just this little Japanese family, and they took me in and basically raised. I worked there the entire time I was in college. And I think I wound up working there for over like 7 years or something like that.
Wow.
I still go there every day, or not every day, well, at least once a week or whatever, once a month, whatever I can afford to go eat. Um, but yeah, I've just been going there since 2009, and working there kind of whenever I was like in college, I needed like a what's something to do for an assignment. I was an animation student.
Okay.
And I was like, what, I have no idea what the heck I'm going to do for this assignment. And so I would always pick something related to working at the restaurant. So it would just be like something about waiting tables, something about just sushi or whatever. And so I just used that as a easy way to do stuff for my assignments. And then, so yeah, it's inspired by my time working at a sushi bar while in college.
I think we've all been there. I remember when I started community college. My first job was at a Jack in the Box. It was awful. I hated that job.
Yeah.
But before that, I actually tried to apply to a sushi restaurant, and that was like down the street from where I went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something similar, but I didn't get the job because they wanted me to go into work, and I didn't have a car, so I couldn't catch the. I
Oh,
was not going to get there on time.
yeah.
um, man. Uh, to what it's like to be a budding adult.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Oh, absolutely. But so cool inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's always good to pull from personal experience. I was actually going to
Yeah.
ask this like a little later,
Yeah.
if if it reflected any aspect of your like actual like real lived
Yeah, it
experience.
did. Yeah, like the character Ben, the guy, like I literally named it after the chef that was there. Ben, his American name was Ben, and his Japanese name's Takayuki. And yeah, we've just been lifelong friends now. And so I named the game after him. He is literally Sushi Ben. Um, and all the people that work there, Yoshi, the owner of the restaurant, and Taka, the waiter, they're all based off of people I worked with. Um, Everyone else after that is like fiction. There's just people that didn't actually exist. But
Right. As you
yeah,
do.
yeah,
um and I the so like the actual like flow of the game, the day, the I guess in game, the day to day that you do,
yeah.
like what sort of, where did that idea come from, that just make it this like slice of life anime
Um,
experience?
I like so like my favorite game in the world is Majora's Mask,
Okay.
the Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really care for the dungeons and stuff. I really only liked the side quests. So like in that game, there's like these side quests where you go and you just talk to people and help them with stuff, and you get masks. And your goal is like to collect all the masks in the game. And I liked that way more than doing the dungeon stuff. And so I just wanted to make like side quest the game. And so that's kind of where the idea came from, of just going around and like talking to people. And obviously I wanted to have like little mini games and stuff, kind of like in Yakuza or Shenmue. Those are other some big inspirations. Have some fun little mini games. And I also really like taking people out to eat, like being like a restaurant promoter. So like when I was in college, I would get like a big discount if I brought in a bunch of people. Um, so so I would just bring in. I would just always try to like talk to people and take them and convince them to come eat at the restaurant with me. Um, and so then I would get like a big discount. Uh, and I don't know. I just thought that would be kind of a cool game. So I don't know.
No, I could definitely see the Shenmue and the
Yeah, yeah,
Yakuza like inspiration, now that you mention it. Especially like think a little more Shenmue, I'd say, right?
yeah,
Definitely with small town.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Definitely Shenmue.
definitely a lot more Shenmue, but you know, and it's obviously, it started as a VR game.
Yeah.
So can I like what made you decide to make it a VR game in particular?
Yeah, so in college, well, I had graduated um, with my degree in 2D animation, and then I got my first job in the industry and I hated it. And so I went back to college for my master's. So I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. I had student loans I had to pay back. And I was like, I don't want to pay this back yet. So I was like, let's get more debt. Um, so I went back I went back to get my master's degree so I could figure out kind of what the heck I was going to do. But I was stupid and took the same degree in animation again. So I was like, let's just, yeah, I've already got a degree in animation. Let's just do it again, right? So I went back for animation again, figure out what I was going to do. Sitting in class one day, some girl was giving a presentation about because we were having to do like talk about our thesis, what our thesis was going to be, and she was talking about how her thesis was going to be about trying to tell a story in VR, and part of her presentation was like, and this was like in 2016, so this is like at this dawn, this was like at the very start of like modern VR. And she was like talking about how hard it is to tell stories in VR because you can't use camera cuts, you can't use you know, none of the film language that we've developed over the past 200 years, you can't use, really. And so I was like, that's an interesting problem. Maybe I want to try to solve that. And so I went home after class that day, and I was watching some anime, and it was JoJo. And in JoJo, they a lot of times, and this is not just JoJo, they do this in like a lot of anime and cartoons where they'll pop up comic book panels instead of doing a camera cut to show like a character's expression, and kind of like an insert shot. And so I was like, oh, that's it. I'll make 3D manga panels for VR. And I'll just make the whole game, based on that concept of using 3D manga panels to add film language to VR. And so I wrote a whole thesis on that and developed like a shader on it, and then basically just that's how the game started.
Man, now it's I like really think I really dig the manga panel like
Yeah,
shots in the game. They're so just dynamic, and they looked like
yeah.
they were really fun. They looked like they were just a lot of fun to make. I
They are a
imagine.
lot of fun to make. They are a lot of fun to make. Very tedious, but a lot of fun to make.
But yeah, I imagine they were also like a lot of work because just
Yeah.
yeah, it's like another like thing being rendered on top of
Yep.
everything else that's being rendered.
Yep.
Uh,
It is a whole, the whole like, because the game had to run on a potato, because the Quest 2 is like basically a brick with a screen on it, and it doesn't really, it doesn't, can't run anything. And so like we had to develop this really complex shader to complex, but like simple enough to do what we wanted to do and be performant. And so in order to do that, it was a very complex process. It was a lot of trial and error, and it took a long time to get something that was performant and would work in VR. Because there's 1,000 ways you could make the shader that I've made, but the way we made it is the perfect use case, or like the perfect way to do it for VR. And that's the whole reason why the game got funded in the first place,
hmm.
because of the 3D manga panels. So
Was it really hard to get someone to help publish the game? Was that process like just
no, that was like literally the easiest thing on the planet for me. It was because like that's like the one thing I've been super lucky. Well, okay, I've been lucky and unlucky. I had a whole bunch of companies reaching out to me asking for funding, or offering to fund the game, after I went viral a few times on Twitter. So basically, all these different companies reached out to me and said, "Hey, we'll help you make this game." And I was like, "Really?" If you send us a demo, I didn't have a demo at the time, but they're like, "Send us a demo, and if we like it, we'll give you money." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And they said some low amount at first, and I was like, "But it still seemed like a lot of money to me at the time." And then after they played, so I like me and there was only three of us or four. Well, technically there was five of us at the time, but really only three of us kind of grinding to finish this demo. And so I was making a demo. I got accepted into Oculus Launchpad,
Okay.
or whatever. And Oculus or Meta, I guess I don't know, Meta Launchpad. I don't know, it used to be called Oculus Launchpad. And it was this little incubator program where Oculus would give you 3 months to make a demo, and then after you make that demo, they'll, if they like it, they'll give you funding. Spoilers: I did not finish on time, and we didn't get
Uh,
funding, and so I was devastated. So, but I still felt like making the demo or like finishing it just for the heck of it, just to see what would happen. Uh, yeah, because like this was in the height of COVID. This was like
oh,
2020. This was like 2020 lockdown status
oh yeah,
when this was going on.
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I just worked on the demo with a couple of people that I met online, um, and some people from college, and yeah, eventually I just started going viral. Like I would just, every night when I finished working, I would just post like clips online, and then they would just start something. They started going viral, and I'd get like all these, messages from companies, and so eventually, after they those companies played the demo, they offered me way more money than way more money than I'd ever seen in my entire life.
uh,
Probably more than I should have been given. Looking back at it, at that age. Um, so yeah, it was actually fairly easy. Um,
and so I guess conversely, then, what would you say has been like, or what would you say was the hardest part of developing Sushi Ben?
Making it run on a quest, like, it was just the most insufferable thing I've ever done in my entire life. Because like the system is so temperamental. Like there's so many things that just make it hard to make a game for. Like I always say, making a VR game is like game dev on hard mode. It is like the hardest way to make a game you could ever imagine. And making it run on a mobile platform is even harder. It's like double that. Because like VR itself has a lot of crazy problems that you have to try to solve for that you don't have to do in normal games. And then on top of that, you have to make it the most performant thing in the entire world. Like our game could probably run on a Samsung smart fridge at this point. It's so performant. Like we put it on the Steam Deck and it had like 500 FPS or something.
Oh my god.
The FPS is so high that for the non VR version that we have to like actually cap it at like 140 because the physics start freaking out at such high frame rates.
Oh my gosh.
So it's pretty nutty. Um, where was I going? What was the question again?
Sorry. It was what was the hardest part of the
Oh, the hardest
development?
part, yeah. So making it run on Quest, like, for an example, we failed QA several times
Oh my.
for the Quest,
Oh wow.
and the game was supposed to come out, and we kept failing QA because they kept finding like these mysterious crashes, and there was no like the because whenever a game crashes, there's like a log that you can pull that like tells you what crashed, and every time it crashed, it was just some unknown driver or like graphics error. And so we would just spent like several months just trying to figure out what this crash is, and did literally nothing else. Every day I'd wake up, I would put on the game, and I would try to crash the game. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out how to crash it. But their QA team at Meta found like if you stood still, they were just like randomly standing still in places, and then the game would crash. They
Oh.
didn't like give us any other info like where they were standing when the crash happened. They would just stand still and the game would crash. And because when you're a dev and you're testing the game, you don't actually ever stand still. Like you're just playing the game, like you're speed running it most of the time, and you never just stand there for like 10 minutes. And so the game was just crashing when they were standing still, and we couldn't figure it out. And so we spent a long time doing that. It was a nightmare. And literally the night it was due, we had been up for 2 days straight at that point. And the night before it was due, to give the QA for the final round, and if we miss this round, if we fail this round, we have to delay the game another 3 months. Because
Jeez.
that would be the next time we'd be allowed to go back into QA. And which literally delaying your game like that literally screws up everything. Screws up your marketing. It screws up your launch. It's just a huge disaster. And so the night before, we've been up for 2 days, trying to solve this crash. And I was just sitting there, I had left my headset on the ground, or I was just standing there looking at a wall because I was like zoning out, and I crashed, and I was like, okay, we finally figured out how to. I crashed finally. I finally figured it out, and it was because I was looking at these sakura petals, and there's like a little particle effect, and it flies in front of your face.
Mm.
And because VR is using two cameras, one for each eye, if a particle shows up in one eye but doesn't show up in the other eye, in games there's like this thing, if the camera can't see something, it tries to cull it, and so that it saves on performance. So the particle was like trying to be cold but also visible at the same time, and so it would cause a crash.
Oh.
Uh,
Oh man.
and it was literally just from these sakura petals full of like just. And so I would just spend days, hours, where I would just set the headset down, wait for it to crash, so I could just pull logs and try to figure out what the heck's going on. And eventually we figured out it was the culling of the particles, and so we turned that off, and the game like worked sort of. There was still one more crash. Um, there was one more crash where even in a blank, an empty level, like there was nothing in it, it's complete black void. Just that we put one physics volume for us to stand on. The game would crash at exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. At exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds of standing still, the game would crash. And we have no idea, to this day, we have no idea why it did it. But so the deadline, we were, and we got to the point where we were doing like synchronized crashing. So like four of us had the headset on, and we were just standing in a black void on Discord, and we're just talking, and then exactly at 2 minutes, all of us would crash at the exact same time. And we had no idea, and there was only 30 minutes left before we had to submit.
Oh my god.
And we couldn't figure it out, and then so we missed the deadline, and we were still super mad, and still kept trying to fix it. And so like an hour after the deadline, we we were like, screw it, we're just going to take the settings from like a VR game Unreal made called Robo Recall, and we're going to take the game engine settings from that, and we're just going to paste it into ours, because it has to be a checkbox. It has to be some type of setting that we have for the rendering that is just screwing us over, that we turned on. And so we copied, because we knew that worked. We knew that game worked on Quest and it didn't crash. So we took all the settings from that game, put it into ours, and then the game magically worked and it never crashed again. So I just checkbox somewhere that we missed.
Wow. So then to this day, it was just you guys just
Yeah.
don't know.
Don't know. We don't have a clue. Don't have a clue. Don't know. Don't care anymore.
Well, it's solved.
Yep.
Absolutely solved. Wow. And game devs, I just have heard things here and there about just how
Yeah.
wild it can be.
Yeah.
Was that the only issue you guys ran into? Or was
Oh no, there was all kinds of issues. Like there was this, we had this pigeon in the game that would um, stalk the player around, not intentionally. Like it was just this pigeon. He was just supposed to do his own little thing, but for some reason he kept just following. It was like following the player. And every time you turned around, the pigeon would be there, and we had no idea why. And it was like freaking us out. So we were haunted by a pigeon for a while, and so we just deleted the pigeon and recreated it. And I don't know, there's some rogue code in there that was just causing him to follow us around.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Outside of like just stuff like that in production kind of happens all the time. But like we did have the biggest disaster that ever hit us is when our publisher, we parted ways with our publisher, which was a whole other thing. But yeah.
Well, yeah, game dev, always sounds fun. Would you recommend like anyone who's interested get into game dev?
Yeah, I mean, I would literally never want to do anything else.
I mean, it sounds like fun when you're really in there.
It's a nightmare. It's most older devs that you'll talk to, they're like, oh, this is the worst career. It's a disaster. It's awful. It's so much work. Blah blah blah. But really, they secretly love it. They don't actually hate it. They just like to complain about it.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't want to do anything else. I think this is like, I don't know, super fun designing a game, taking it from start to finish.
Well, I mean, it's impressive when you see what you created just come to fruition at the end.
Yeah, it feels good. And the other best thing, and the main, like one of the big reasons that I really enjoy it is the result of people playing, seeing like people's reactions to playing the game. I try to watch like every stream that ever shows up for the game. Like I have a little Discord bot that like searches the internet for people streaming the game. And every time someone's streaming, I just pop in. You know, sometimes I don't let them know I'm the creator or whatever, but I just like to watch people play the game. It just fills me with endless joy.
What would you say has been like the best reaction to something in Sushi Ben?
Oh, I mean, I was watching a streamer last night, and she was like playing the demo for the non-VR version, and she was looking at this character who's like this buff Fisher lady, and she was like, she's built like a fridge, and I was like, she was just obsessing over this character and calling her a fridge. And I was like, and I was some people in her chat were like, "Is that an insult?" And she's like, "No, no, no, no. I love people built like that." she's she's like wide and cool, you know. So that's what I guess what it takes to make a fridge, being wide and cool. So I thought that was sick. But like we had a big VTuber play the game a few weeks ago.
I think her name
Uh,
Ollie. I think.
yeah, Ollie played the game, and she was just it was nuts. She was just like like she met anytime she like met a character, saw heard their voice for the first time, she was just like gushing nonstop about the voice acting, um, and just how much fun the game was, and it just I don't know. It was I think that was like the best stream I've ever seen. I mean, um, like just the way that she reacted to all the little things that I did. Like there's a section where the game you get a game over if you like throughout the entire game you keep talking to the villain of the game, and you at the end of every conversation with the villain you get a chance to ask if you can work for the villain instead, because and that only exists because my TikTok comments, people are always like, hey, is she hiring? Can I work for her instead? You know, or whatever. And so I just put that into the game. So every time it's like not part of the script, there's like no text associated with it at all. And it's just something at the very end of the game, at the very end of every dialogue, if you talk to her and say, you know, are you hiring? You get a game over. And her reaction to that was just so freaking funny. She was like, I simped too hard, you know,
It's too hard.
and got a game over. And I love it. It's super funny.
Oh man, well it's that kind of energy, right? Just
Yeah,
that
yeah,
silliness returning in tenfold from the people enjoying it.
yeah. You just get such it's so rewarding. I don't know. It's really great.
Definitely is. And and speaking of voice acting, so you mentioned the Japanese voice
Yeah,
acting. You guys are making an English dub for this game,
yeah.
and I gotta ask, how has that process been?
Oh God, it's a nightmare. It is a nightmare on so many levels. But it's a good thing. It's a good overall. It's a good thing. But the whole process has been like kind of a nightmare because like first off, I was just making we were just at first it was just gonna be something simple. It was just gonna be like, yeah, we'll just get a couple of people. I'm sure, you know, maybe we'll get like some, a couple hundred applicants. It'll be really easy. And then it went giga viral on every platform that I post on, like every platform that I post on, it went viral. I don't know, it's, like millions of views or whatever. And I was just like, oh, and so, and so like, we got like by the end of the cutoff line, we got like 8,000 applicants, and out of that 8,000, only 4,000 actually submitted a recording. So it was pretty interesting.
Wow.
And so we had to sit for like 3 months. I think we just sat there. And I actually I had to so like after the VR launch didn't go too well, because of we lost our launch window, and then all of our marketing failed, and we lost our publisher, and it was a whole disaster, right?
Hmm.
So like the game didn't sell too well enough in VR because like we had to pay back our publisher. So we still owe our publisher like a ton of money. And so we had to like pay. We still have to pay them off like 70% of the revenue. And so like the game, I wasn't making any money on the game, and so I had to move into my mom's basement, um, or whatever. Me and my wife. And then while I was living in my mom's basement last year, I started applying to like teaching jobs
Hmm.
at my college because I have this MFA or whatever, and so I was like, okay, might as well use it. And so I got a job at the college that I went to teach like VR and game dev stuff. Um, so last summer I became like a professor. So I was also working full time as a professor and trying to do this voice acting thing. So every night after work, I got off of work, I would go home, and then we'd sit there and listen to like 5 hours of audio every night. And it was just like the most brutal thing ever.
Oh my
Um,
god. That process, so picking through all those voice actors, I imagine
yeah.
was just rough. Just
Yeah, no, it was painful because like a lot of it was just kids recording in their bathroom or whatever on like US on like their phone mics, and so a lot of it was unusable stuff, and so we just had to we listened to like 30 seconds of it, and we're like, okay, this is not usable. They're not a professional, or like they're not gonna be able to give us the audio quality we need. Throw it out. Um, but we listened to them all. We got some very strange submissions where somebody was like recording, like they sent us video. Some people sent us video auditions,
uh,
and one of them was just like some kids wrestling. There's just this little kid and his like brother like wrestling in the living room floor. He's like, "This is my audition for Sushi Ben," and then he goes and tackles his brother.
oh my god.
Um, and then there's like a lot of meme ones where people were just doing weird stuff. And so it was fun.
Jeez, that's hysterical. So I imagine the getting Seiyu was
Yeah.
comparatively like a lot more straightforward.
Oh yeah. Phew, that was the most breeze. Other than like there was one actress we didn't get or we weren't able to get that we wanted due to scheduling. But it turned out better to not have her anyways. Because we got uh Chiaki
Hmm.
Takahashi instead. And she's like this really popular voice actress who's just really famous for doing like hot characters and things like that.
uh,
And so yeah, so she has a great voice for those types of characters, and so we got her instead, and yeah, it was great. She was fantastic. So I wasn't aware of her at the time
hmm.
because Moa, the writer of the game, she's the one who picked out all the voice actors
Oh, okay.
because she's from Japan, and so she knows she's a big Seiyu fan, and so she was like, who should I pick? And I was like, well, we've got a big budget for that, so just whoever you want. And she's like, okay. And so she picked like all of her favorite voice actors. She just made a list, like her dream list,
Oh man.
and we got pretty much all of the ones that she wanted for all the characters. Like they all. They read the script and they were like, "This is awesome." They love like everyone who voice acted in Japan for the game. They love the script because it was unlike anything that they've really gotten to do before.
Hmm.
That's like the biggest comment we always got. Like, "Oh, we're so glad that we got to do this because they didn't get like typecasted as much as they didn't have to act." Because we didn't the acting. If you watch a lot of the game, there's like the acting is a little more. It lets the actors kind of do what they want.
Right.
Like they're not really, it's not really, we weren't really strict, and so a lot of them did a lot of crazy. There's a lot of crazy lines that are just like Manami. She has like this one line where she's just like, like for like a whole like half a minute of her these weird sounds, and like that wasn't in the script. It was supposed to just be like a but she just added like this insane ad lib, like just she went on and on and on, and so we didn't care. We were like, yeah, it was fine. We would just edit the script. It's fine. Sure. And so they all had lots of fun.
That sounds like a lot. Do you anticipate something similar with the English cast when you
Yes, there's some minor ad libbing in some of the things where we just I let them go off script. Um, I think the English voice acting is going to be a little bit more reserved
hmm.
in comparison though.
Okay. Well,
Going for a different style.
definitely. I think and obviously like translating and localizing things into English, it's you can
Yeah.
generally get like a different tone and a different kind of
Yeah,
performance.
exactly. Yeah. It'll be a totally different experience, I think. Uh, So
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun too. Just basically creating a second new experience for people who played the
yeah,
game originally.
yeah. I mean, that was so the reason why we're doing it is our biggest because like for me, I was just voice act like getting to work with these Japanese voice actors that I'd grown up listening to. It was like a big like it's something I've always wanted. Like I always wanted to hire or work with or have like these people that I grew up listening to as a kid, watching like anime on pirated CDs. Like that's how like back in my day we anime was like someone would a random guy on the street would download a bunch of anime on a disc. It was like 4 episodes on a CD or something. And then you would get the discs from him or whatever because he had faster internet.
Hmm.
Um, and so like had all these discs of like just Bleach and Naruto, and so that's when I first heard Japanese voice acting. Um, and I was ever since then I was like, yeah, I want if I ever do anything, whether it's making a cartoon or a game, I need to have them. And so it was really cool. It was really cool to get those voice actors in the game.
I mean, that's living the dream right there. Just
Yeah,
basically
it was. I
making.
accomplished my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Not many people can say that, unfortunately.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
that's honestly awesome. And so like as well, in addition to that dub, so
yeah,
the non VR mode, I imagine that's also been a whole thing as well, right?
yeah. Oh God, yeah. Well, one last thing about the English dub.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Um, oh yeah, so it was literally the biggest feedback that we got from the VR version, especially because in VR people don't want to read, um, which we learned the hard way. Um, that the biggest comment was like people just like, oh, I wish this had English voice acting so I didn't have to read. And I was like, fine. So that's why the English cast came about is because like because we only had really had budget for the Japanese cast, and so we didn't really have a budget for the English one at the time.
Hmm.
And so like we just I just chose what I always was always dreaming for. And so you know, but the people demanded it, so I tried to try to get funding for that. So
I mean, I think it'll pay off. But like,
oh yeah, no, it's gonna be a big um marketing thing later.
and
Um,
in addition to like, so you mentioned like a Dreamcast for the Japanese voice acting.
yeah.
Did you have one in mind for the English cast?
No, I did not. I wanted it to be a pure community. At first it was supposed to be just a pure community thing from people that follow me on Twitter
Mm.
and stuff like that. That's why I just wanted to do an open casting because I don't really know anybody in the English space. Like I don't know. I'm not a clue. This is something I've never ever thought of. I didn't think I never thought I'd ever have money to do both. And so, um, yeah, I just open casting, and then it just turned out that like we got a bunch. So like, the cast that we selected, and I can't really go into it much yet, but
Right.
the cast is a whole bunch of random people off the street, but also like super pros
Hmm.
that are like people are gonna know when they hear their voice. Well, people with some pretty big audiences. And I had no idea that these famous people were like applying to do the thing because I don't know anything about English voice acting.
Hmm.
And so a lot of times I was just picking, whatever I liked the best or whoever gave the best performance. And it just so happened to be like you know, some person in the casting director would go, oh, this is so and so. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he's been in this anime, this anime, and this anime, and this one, and this one, and this game, and that. And I was like, oh, well, good. Well, I'm glad I liked this. I'm glad I liked it.
I mean, that's just the little bit of a pleasant surprise. You just happen to pick
Yeah,
the famous people.
yeah, yeah,
I am pretty into like I like there's some seiyuu that I like, but I also really
yeah,
like English voice acting because that's what I grew up with. Like a
yeah,
lot of the anime I watched was like late night Toonami stuff. It was
yeah, 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 yeah,
all dubbed,
yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the first anime that I saw was the dubs of like Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, Trigun were like the big, and Dragon Ball obviously, but I didn't even know Dragon Ball was an anime when I was a kid. I didn't even, it was too, you know. So like I didn't never had even heard Japanese stuff. But then I started getting into like Bleach and Naruto, and those weren't on TV when I was a kid.
Hmm.
So um, until like I was like graduating high school or something, that they started showing up on TV. But by then I was already like obsessed with the Japanese style. So uh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're a fan of English voice actors, then you're gonna get some nice surprises,
I,
especially for some more recent animes that were pretty big.
okay.
Some main characters and things like that from that. So,
I'll definitely take a look at that English dub.
yeah, yeah,
I did play the demo, and so do think the Japanese voice acting is really nice.
yeah.
They have like a lot of they I could tell they're really into what they're
Oh yeah,
reading.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, 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 yeah. They
So
had so much fun.
sounds like a lot of fun. But to sort of touch on a little bit of the dev process again, so
Yeah,
so obviously this game was in VR, and
yeah.
you are now adding a non VR function to
Oh
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
uh, I imagine, I guess going backwards it was probably kind of tough going from
It was
VR.
so painful. It was okay. So like if you've ever been following me on social media for a long time, the I was like, oh, so we just finished the PSVR port, which was like our big one of our big commitments. We had to finish the PSVR port before we could move on to literally anything else in our lives. So we finished that, and then I was like, oh, by the way, guys, we're also making a non-VR version. It'll be out in a couple of months. That was like sometime last year, like last January or something. I was like, yeah, it'll be done in just like 3 or 4 months, and then it'll be great. And now it's what is it, June of 2025, and it's still not out. It's been quite a process because there's only three of us actively working on the game.
My God, yeah,
Um,
that's a lot.
yeah, yeah. So it has just been basically remaking the game, and we also did a little detour to add side quests to the game. Because before the game was literally just the story, and there was no side content for the players to do, so people would get kind of tired of just only doing the whole quest. Like a lot of people wanted to kind of like branch off and have a reason to explore the game or map.
Hmm.
So outside of actual main story quests, there was nothing for the players to do outside of that, and they got sad when they explored and they didn't discover anything. And so we were like, okay, well, how do we fix that? And so we decided to add a ton of side quests, and those side quests wound up basically doubling the playtime of the game. So we
Wow.
basically made a whole nother game essentially over the past year while doing the non-VR stuff. um, so that's kind of what kind of made it take super long, was the side quest. Literal side quest for us as well. Like we went on a side quest to add side quests to the game when we should have been making the flat mode. Um, so the non-VR version has just been, and it's also just been a struggle of like figuring out how to translate very intuitive mechanics for VR into like non-VR related stuff. Like in VR, opening a door is literally just walking up, grabbing the door, and pulling it, right?
Hmm.
But like, opening a door in in a non-VR game is a whole nother. There's like a whole meme on how everyone hates doors in game dev, and so like we settled on just having like an automatic door that opens when you walk close to the door. They'll like open up. But if
Hmm.
you're standing too close to the door, because of its physics based, the door will not open until you move slightly to the left, so you're not blocking the door opening. And so a lot of players just stand there not realizing that the door won't open, or why is the door not opening? And they're trying to press buttons and nothing's happening, and it's because they're standing in the way of the door. It's the worst.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. But
but yeah,
it's nice. I mean, it'll be a nice surprise for the people who actually get to play it on. I think I saw the Steam page like right before we
yeah,
talked, because I
yeah,
wanted to just double check. I was like, I know it's not out on Steam yet. It's
yeah.
September 2025, right?
Yep. That's our launch date. We're gonna try to hit that. I'm gonna be grinding every day for the next 72 days before we want to finish the game 30 days before launch. So, um, yeah, we're gonna be grinding all day every day.
I wish you guys the best of luck. That's quite the grind. It's
Yeah.
like a year and change of grinding.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my gosh. And just to to touch on the game a little more. Just do you have a favorite character? Is there a character you'd want?
I mean, Minami's my favorite, obviously. I mean, if people who followed me for a long time, they know it's Minami.
Was there was there a character that you like? Was she like the one that you had like the most fun kind of like fleshing out? Would you
Yeah,
say?
she was like I had because like before when I first made the game, I didn't really when I was first designing the game, like coming up with the script and all that stuff, I didn't really have a villain. Like I didn't know what the villain was gonna be. Originally it was just like the bank was the villain. And so like you had to like help the sushi bar make enough money every month to stay open. That was kind of like the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to get a customer, build a customer base for the restaurant by taking people out to eat. And so that was the kind of goal. And if you didn't, complete the goal, a banker would show up and like, foreclose on the restaurant or whatever. And so that was like I didn't really have a cool antagonist in mind until like half after we'd gotten funding and like it was just kind of like further into the process. I was like, we actually probably really need a cool villain instead of just this fat banker guy that I was imagining to be the original villain. And then I was like, ooh, what if we had like a female villain? And then I started thinking about like I was like, what? I don't know. I really had no idea. It really was just very vague. I didn't really know what it was going to be. And then I remembered the first episode of an anime called Food Wars.
Oh, Food Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. And the very first episode of that, he's, the main character is like watching his restaurant for his dad. And this lady comes in and she's trying to threaten him to sell the restaurant or whatever. And so that's literally where Minami came from, was just that character, like that first lady who walks in and tries to like force him to sell the restaurant. And I was like,
I know the clip you're talking about. So yeah, I see
yeah,
a lot of that. I see a lot of
yeah,
that
yeah,
in
the
here.
clip.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
replicated the clip, like what I'm talking about.
Uh,
So I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I'll just make the whole game revolve around that concept. Um, so I was like, that's it. That's what I'm looking. That's what I was needing.
the
Um,
inspiration comes from the strangest of places sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, so Steam release is coming up in September. You guys are obviously like working hard to get to that finish line.
Yeah.
Once you're done, I guess, with this update for Sushi Ben, what's next? What's next for you guys?
Well, that's hopefully I can get out of financial ruin, and hopefully we can pay off if we pay off our publisher, then we'll probably start working on a sequel.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
All
yeah,
right. So
so
sushi
yeah,
is it Sushi Ben 2?
yeah. The game spoilers. The game kind of ends on a little of a cliffhanger,
Okay.
and some people might not be happy about that, but that's just how it. I thought it would be funny, but apparently no one else thinks it's funny. Let's play the VR version, and I don't have time. I don't have the budget to change it, so it's still going to be a cliffhanger. Because I've always I just thought it would be funny, and then I wanted the sequel to like pick up, after that, and just kind of explore more, more characters and more. There's supposed to be a dating sim in the sequel.
Okay.
There was going to be a dating sim at the start of the game. Like originally, the game was always supposed to have a dating sim in it, but as we started working with our writer, and she wrote a lot of dialogue, a lot of stuff, we were kind of ran out of budget and space to kind of add a dating sim to it because it would have quadrupled our voice acting budget or something.
Jeez.
So so we had to cut that, which made me very sad because the game was always supposed to have some type of dating sim element, outside of just the regular platonic taking people out to eat part. You then could eventually start dating any of the characters, and so like the Sushi Ben 2 is going to largely focus on, or have a huge focus on, the dating sim elements, that I wanted to add to begin with.
Okay. Well,
So,
I think everyone will be excited. I feel like Sushi Ben has a pretty strong like
oh yeah, oh yeah,
contingent of fans that are just probably chomping at
yes,
the
yes, they're dying for it.
bit. I haven't really played many dating sims, but maybe after
Yeah,
Sushi Ben, maybe Sushi Ben 2 will be
it
my
won't be
first.
like a tradition. It's not going to be like a traditional. game because like our game's not really like I don't even know what I would consider our game to be. It's like, not like a visual. It's like a visual novel, but like not really.
It's more like I'd say like if you took after playing the demo and seeing a lot of
Yeah.
it also outside of that, it's more like a kind of like it reminds me a little bit of like WarioWare, just
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
with the more like centralized like story and theme going around.
Yeah,
But
it is. It is
yeah,
kind of like WarioWare. That's the first time someone's compared it to WarioWare before. That's funny.
because it just comes to mind because it's in WarioWare
Uh,
everything's like you got these little disconnect. Well, I wouldn't call them disconnected, but like
yeah,
these
but they were supposed
adjacent.
to be, yeah,
Yeah,
adjacent. Yeah.
like, yeah, very adjacent mini games. But here they're even more tied together because it all revolves around sushi.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. WarioWare. Great. Love that. Yeah, I think Shenmue, to me, Shenmue is kind of a pretty good. It's basically Shenmue or Yakuza without combat.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's basically the best way I describe it to people.
I will say the also the I don't I think maybe I need to mess with the demo a little more, but I will say
Yeah.
the feel of the bow
Yeah.
is really nice because
Well, good, because
cause,
we
cause I've done some archery before and that the heaviness of like actually drawing a bow.
yeah,
I've
we want to, because like in VR, you get that, like you
mhm,
get that kind of feel, and so we wanted to replicate that in VR. So I have to tell George because we struggled for a lot trying to get the archery to behave properly for the non-VR version because it's all like again our whole game is physics based and we
yeah.
couldn't rewrite the whole system. And so it was very hard to get the bow to behave the way we wanted it. Because like we didn't want it to be just like a generic, bow that you use in any other game. So um, good. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you.
Yeah, it feels great. I think there's a nice weight to it, especially with like
Yeah.
the Japanese kind of
Oh yeah, the
in
giant bow.
in
Yeah.
Kyoto, their bows are like those bows are really heavy. I've drawn one
Yeah.
and it's no joke. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you guys have the right amount of weight and draw to
Good.
it. So good job for
Yeah.
sure.
Let's go. Yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of time watching Kyoto videos and things like that. And so I know it's probably goofy, like carrying a Kyoto bow, like in a town setting like that or whatever. Like, as a at first, it was only supposed to be used at the archery. There's like an archery range that you can't access in the demo,
Hmm.
and it was only meant for that one section of the game. But then I was like, well, kind of a waste to develop this mechanic and not use it more. So like we kind of put it more into the game. So good. I'm glad you like it. I'll tell George.
It's
He'll be
very
happy.
yeah. No, tell George he did a good job. It feels real nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, I appreciate you talking to me, Dmaw. This has been
Yeah.
such a fun conversation. Just to close things out, firstly, like, should people play Sushi Ben?
Yes, I actually think that now after watching a lot of streamers play it now recently, I definitely can confidently say I think everyone should play Sushi Ben. I think it's got a little bit something for everybody. Even people who don't like these kind of games will like it, I think.
I think so too. I have a friend, she hates anime. So
Yeah.
she hates anime. Well, she hates specifically like the anime. I can't swear on the radio, but the anime shenanigans that
Yeah.
anime generally gets up to. I think
I
if
have a
you,
friend like that too. I have a friend who hates that type of stuff.
yeah.
Um,
But
and I'm just like, why? I think that's funny.
I think it's kind of funny too, but I can also see where she comes from. But I
Yeah.
feel like she'd be kind of into this. This
Yeah.
is definitely, I think, got the right kind of spirit for a lot of people who maybe aren't as into anime.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think anyone can enjoy it.
Definitely. And so, like, if you wanted to enjoy Sushi Ben, where can they get Sushi Ben?
Or what? Well, you can get it on every major VR headset right now, but I highly recommend waiting until after September when we push this new update that's going to have like side quests to the game. It totally changes the game, adds like 8 hours of content or something. And I think that so like any major VR headset, and then on Steam in September, and then after September it'll be on Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PS4 and 5.
Wow. It's just
Yeah.
it'll be literally on everything.
Everywhere. It'll be literally on every platform. That's my goal.